All right, so my name's Tyler Kicera. I work for Tait Towers. I work in business development, and in particular, the Kinetics division is what I run, which focuses on architecture projects, immersive experiences, kinetic installations. But the core of Tait Towers and the company that I work for is in the live event business. So we build all of the big rock and roll touring shows, Cirque du Soleil shows here on the Strip, and we also do quite a bit in the permanent installation market in theaters and opera houses around the world. And so we have effectively our business is a technology company. We build equipment. We also have our own software platform, Navigator, which controls all of the show action equipment in a touring show and in a permanent installation show like you might see here on the Strip in Vegas. So in addition to that, we also, as I said, running Kinetics, get into the architecture world as well, because as we are pushing forward and pushing the envelope, we're seeing that entertainment technology and what's happening in the live event and live experience business is bleeding over into architecture to create immersive experiences and environments that are engaging and ultimately are ones that you can't experience looking at a screen. And you have to physically be present in order to experience those spaces and those events. And so I'd like to introduce Dave Gare from the lab from Rockwell.
Hey everybody, how you doing today? All right. So I am from the Rockwell Group in New York, and we're a lab within an architecture firm. So we do technology, meaningful experiences, experiential. We do both permanent and temporary structures, and our challenge is always kind of to figure out what's the next thing that'll blow people's minds. So we're always, we never work really from a brief. It's usually somebody's coming to us because they're building a big, building somewhere in the world, and they want us to do something interactive, experiential, that kind of takes everything to the next level. And then we kind of have the full creative freedom to design that. So we're designers, but on my staff I have architects, I have motion designers, I have experience designers, I have a lot of creative technologists, and we kind of take it from there. We try to just up our game on every project. We do things usually that you can't find anywhere in the world but that one place, and then we never do it again. We'll never do it for a second time. So that's kind of what we do, and that's why we work so well together. So we have so many things that we could show you that are kind of mind-blowing. I mean, just as far as the lab goes, we did just even here, we did the lobby at Cosmopolitan, and we did the lobby there in the Chandelier Bar. We do all the TOWs. We did Google and Facebook's headquarters. We've even designed a train called the Bright Line train in Florida. So we're kind of all over the place. I guess you could say our attention is hard to keep. So, but anyway, we decided today we would discuss one particular project because it's a really cool one, and it's here in Las Vegas. So you have the potential of going and seeing it if you like, and that is the Omnia over at Caesar's Palace, and we worked on that together. We're going to start with Heather rolling a video about it, and then we can talk about it. So that's over at Caesar's Palace. It's an amazing experience if you haven't seen it. And so we figured we'd kind of go through the experience of creating that. And there's some slides also that can start playing in the background that you'll see kind of the development process on it. I'll start out on the design side before the handover went to Tait. And on the design side, so everything we kind of do at the lab, we start with a story. We're very big on a narrative. So that's always the first step for us. And for this space, it was kind of the great opera houses of the world was kind of what really inspired this space. This is one of the largest nightclubs in the world. And so there are mezzanines and there's all kinds of things happening. And we needed to do something in this with the chandelier that would kind of change the feeling of the space. It was an extension of whatever DJ might be there that night so that it could be responsive to what they were spinning, and it could be an experience that kind of tagged right onto that. And we also wanted to be able to make it go away completely, and then this recedes into the ceiling, but also to make the space way more intimate. And when you're doing something like this with all the really fine materials that are involved, and LED and steel and all these kinds of things, there's really only one place to go. I can tell you, I've looked worldwide, and that one place was Tait. So, really this was a manifestation of something. It's kind of the best that we do on the design side, and really what the best is of the Kinetics at Tait. So why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is here, so some of these initial slides are really just the different iterations we went through to arrive at the kind of final design. And when we first were engaged to work on the project, the immersive installation was really content driven. And so there were a bunch of LED screens that basically came from where the DJ existed or lived, and they swept up into the ceiling. And the idea was that the kind of content, this energy would come from the DJ and his music or her music. And it wouldn't be fair as well to not give credit to Willie Williams, who we worked with as well on this project and helped us design this. So he gets the credit actually, I think, for doing the design on the chandelier itself. But we saw that as an opportunity to do more than just content. I think that while it's great, there's so much LED here at this show. We are seeing that people are becoming, I would say, more and more jaded by content, and so we really set out here, as Dave said, this is one of the largest nightclubs in the world, and so the opportunity to do something world class that had never been done before was there. And so we really kind of aimed high, and tried to go for the stars and do something that was really, I'd say, ridiculous. And as you saw in some of the earlier renderings that we had, there were a lot more rings. There were a lot more crystals in the center. They all moved individually. So I would say what's probably close to 30 axes of motion right now was at one point 150 or something. So it got pared down at the end of the day, but what we didn't lose in doing so was the impact and the overall sort of effect and the result that we were driving for in the beginning, which, here in this nightclub, we were trying to, as Dave said, tell a bit of a story, but we really wanted to be able to change the energy in the space. And so we can do that by simply just how we place, and how we move this chandelier. And so it can be very low and intimate, and it can soar out as one whole unit. We can bring each ring individually in by itself. We can articulate them so they can penny roll in a way. We've got LED built into this. We've got theatrical lighting. There's also aerial performers that come in that we provided automation for as well. But what you get here is something that truly begins to change your experience and affect you as you're going out throughout the night, enjoying yourself in the club. And it's something that it hit on exactly what I think we were trying to get at, which was create an experience that you can't get by looking at images or videos online or on your phone. And so it's something.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It really was about being able to control the energy in the room. And this thing can go to like 0 to Tesla in like 3.5 seconds. It's crazy. It's really like if you're in the space, it's a thrill that, I mean, you can leave the Molly at home. It just does it for you. It's pretty amazing. So, and anyway, I do encourage everybody to kind of try to see it maybe before you leave. I was there last night. I think Samsung did a party there last night. But
so some of you may have been there.
I had to break in though, but it's really truly fantastic.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's interesting about this is that it was sort of an after effect. Wasn't something that the Hackasan group went in saying, but we came out with this kind of idea or this notion that an installation like this, if done right, really can become a marketing expense. Because this chandelier, which you'll notice is they use it very intelligently throughout the night. So when you show up in the beginning of the night from, let's say, 9 till midnight, it moves from position to position, but it doesn't really do anything dynamic. But you get these kind of different looks in a way, these presets. And then as, from midnight on, as the night begins to change and the energy in the space just inherently through the people who are occupying it and partying starts to elevate, they begin to kind of feed into this, the chandelier, and obviously the music has an influence on it as well. And so immediately what happens is people pull their phones out of their pockets and they start taking images and videos and they start posting it online. And I would have to say, having heard from Hackasan, from a marketing standpoint, this chandelier has been one of the single biggest drivers of business to their club. People just want to come here and experience it and see it and feel what it's like to be, a part of this experience, which is really what we set out to design here.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, because it really is central to what we both do, which is, previous to being in the technology world, I was in the movie business, and movies used to be an event. It was something you went to. It was social. People came together, and so that was kind of the whole motivation of a movie. And we see that changing now in a lot of ways, which, it's really an experience. People go out to see an experience, and that's across the board. If we're talking retail, people need an experience. And if we're talking about these spaces, I think I said it at the beginning, but you can photograph this and it's an incredible social thing, and you can post it and it's incredible, but really you need to be there. These experiences, you need to be in the room. And I think that that's a paradigm change we're seeing in everything we do. And so we just keep trying to one-up ourselves. This one is, I think it's probably the most photographed chandelier in the world. And that's what it takes, these days, because to get people to put down the phone and to actually get out of the house and go do something. So, this is kind of the future. We see this as the future, and by the way, we'll never build this again, ever. This is and that's the key to it. Like, we'll move on to something else that'll be like this, but mind-blowing in a different way. And that's, and I think that that's the name of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it as well. Our core business is concert touring. So we build, as I said earlier, I'd say the top 1% of all concert touring shows that tour the world, Taylor Swift's of the world, the Rolling Stones, U2, all the big artists. And within that, there's always a bit of spectacle.
Yeah, and I'm just going to break in once. Like, you need to Google the Red Hot Chili Peppers' last tour, because Tyler and his team did an amazing Kinetic array for that. It took up the whole orchestra of Madison Square Garden, and it was all Kinetic chandeliers, and it was one of the greatest live experiences for a show I've ever been to. It was really, you guys did a great job.
Yeah, thanks. That was 1,000 individual axes that moved over the audience. So, there's a ton of challenges that come with that. But, as I was saying, we're developing within the live event industry all of this technology. And it's right now in the United States anyway, an industry that's not really regulated. And so we can really push boundaries, and we can do things that are really not possible, I would say, anywhere else. And as an incubator for technology and experience and spectacle, we're able to develop things that, we're finding ourselves bleeding over, as I said earlier, into the world of architecture and beginning to build, as I would say, kind of permanent experiences within, whether it be a nightclub or a corporate lobby, or, there's so many different places that that can benefit from something like this, where you're creating something that draws people to it. You know, you look at the brick and mortars, the malls, even in airports, let's say, how do you get people to re-engage with those places that are now, somewhat on in their demise in a way. They're sort of disappearing.
Yeah,
so.
they are. I mean, we're working on 3 airports right now. Like there was LAX. There was a big experiential design there, and then we've done Newark Airport. I think we're doing LaGuardia now. So experiential is, you're going to see a lot more of it at airports in the future too. Definitely.
Yeah, it's as I said, we're doing these kinds of things now all across the world, and I would say that, as you said before, it's the future. Really, it's I think that even what we've done some projects with what would be a traditional static LED screen, and we've made them transform in ways that draw people's attention to them, which is something that can be really valuable for an advertiser. So if you start to really think about what drives people, what drives their emotion, what drives ticket sales, or what gets the wallet out of their back pocket, it's these kinds of things that are really going to become the norm. I think we're also we're in an environment that is, I'd say, richer and richer every day. And so the level of experience and the level of product that we deliver has to be elevated constantly as well. And so this is just, as I said, this is something that exists here in Vegas, but we're doing it all over the world as well, because there's demand for it. Southeast Asia, Middle East are huge.
We both work all over the world. I did big installations at the end of last year in India and in China, Kotai, Macau, Hong Kong. So I mean, so the good news is there's a lot of money for it, and there's a lot of opportunity for it. And then the bad news for us is that it always has to be something that's never been seen in the world before. And so I think we have 3 minutes left. So I'm going to dare all of you and everybody at this show, there's tons of this work to be done, and we're always looking for technologies or people or expertise that helps us move the needle. And we're Tyler and I are on the road all the time, and we're doing what we need to do. And so it's whatever is in front of our face, and we're here, for these couple days. And, and I dare you. You have something that moves the needle. You have something nobody's seen before. I dare you, bring it to us, because we will design it and we will build it and we will put it out in the world, and you will be proud of it. And, so that is kind of my final message for everybody. Bring us your shit and we'll put it on, So there you go.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, it's kind of why we're here. I think why we're excited about being here, because there's, so much out in the world that, we don't necessarily have the bandwidth to discover, let's say. So it would certainly be great if there's any opportunities out there, or products or future technology or visions that people have, that we could play on. But just to kind of wrap up, I mean, as a company, we're super proud of the chandelier. I think I've talked about it at a couple of different presentations that I've done here in Vegas and other places. It's just a great example of what can be done in the world. And as I said earlier, you got to be clever about how you pitch these things, because oftentimes that's the first thing to get cut from a budget. But if you can sell that in a way that's going to drive people and drive foot traffic, and you're going to actually create a return on the investment for something like this, I mean, that's where you need to be, and that's how you need to be approaching these kinds of things. So don't look at it as like a nice to have or an extra. I mean, I think it's really going to become something that's just like, it's a have to have, because
I don't think any client of ours has ever regretted doing one of these kind of installations. We have a minute left. So I think Tyler and I are going to have a drink tonight over at the Vista Bar over at the Caesars, which is right across the hall from this. So if anybody wants to see some more of our work or just chat, we'll be there for a little while. All right? Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.